All right, so glasses off, people who have glasses, closing eyes, and 3 breaths slowly. In and out. You can do it in your own time. In, energizing the body. Out, relaxing the body. In, bringing in light. Out, releasing. And keeping your eyes closed. We have the intention for we dedicate the next 45 minutes unreservedly to our spiritual growth for our own benefit and the benefit of all those who come near us or even think of us. And opening eyes. Thank you for those who are here and those who will watch the replay later on. Thank you. So today, I want to focus on a few more physical aspects. One is a short thing about food. Just if this week we could have that, just to bring a little more awareness to what we're eating. So it doesn't have to be a sort of compulsive thing, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, you must eat this or you mustn't eat that. But just for this week, to just bring, if it pops into your mind, go, oh, yes, every time I eat, I'm going to just think, what am I eating? Why am I eating that? Is that what I want to eat? Is that my decision that I want to eat that at the moment? And on the topic of food, just for those who may not have really thought about it, when you're doing spiritual practices, you'll get used to doing this, but it's traditionally in sort of the serious spiritual paths, the more intense spiritual practices are always done on an empty stomach, because obviously if there's food in your stomach, it takes like an hour or sometimes 2 hours, if it's a lot of food, to just get out of your stomach into your intestines. It doesn't really matter if the food's in your intestines, your large intestine or your small intestine, because that travels for a long time. It's really the issue of food in your stomach. So generally, if you know you're going to dedicate a spiritual practice, it doesn't have to, again, not a compulsive thing, or it just gets a bit much, but just a thought in that direction that if you're going to do a spiritual practice, if it's possible to sit, it doesn't have to be like completely empty stomach, just moving in that direction. Having said that, things like this, the time of day, well, sometimes that's just not possible for people. They've come home from work or they've got dinner arrangements with family, and that's just how it is. They have to eat at that time. So, all right, that it doesn't matter. But just generally, when you spiritual practices and meditation and all the other things you do, it becomes part of your life, it's good to be aware that if you eat a lot, especially if you're eating a lot, and then sit down and try and do some practice, you'll find it quite difficult, because a lot of your body's energy is going into getting that food out of your stomach. If you just need something little, or just say you're actually quite hungry, but you know you're going to do a spiritual practice, sometimes it's good just have a bit so that you're not so hungry, and then you don't feel like, oh, I'm starving. One of the big emphasis when I was at the Sadhguru day for the whole day, because it's very strict spiritual disciplines, was to be on an empty stomach. So it was very well planned, the day, like this is like 8,000 people who went to the day. So it was a strict rule. you had to have, if you were going to eat in the morning, breakfast, which they did recommend you do, it had to be finished by 6:30. And then no one was to bring any food. No, any food that was going to be consumed that day was organised by them. So 6:30 had to have finished eating. We were sitting on the floor by 8, but it didn't actually start till 9. So then 9 till 12:30. So no one had eaten anything from 6:30 to 12:30. 12:30 was lunch. So definitely they knew by the time they did the spiritual practices, people were on an empty stomach, and especially some of the more intense spiritual practices, they really wanted everyone on an empty stomach, because when you're dealing with 8,000 people, for some people, it's actually quite an issue. For other people, oh, look, it's just going to be a bit distracting because their body's sort of churning away through food. But for other people who might be quite reactive to it, it can make quite a big difference. And then once we had lunch, we only ate what they gave us, which was vegetarian and carbs that were very quickly processed. And it was beautiful and prepared with a lot of love. And then again, nothing for the rest of the day. We did have afternoon tea, but afternoon tea was water with lemon in it. That was afternoon tea, water with lemon in it. But it was just so exciting to be there and do all the practices. I don't think anyone cared. So that was the food thing that I wanted to mention. The other thing is with, that's a related physical thing, is with sitting on the floor. I'm just sort of running through these just briefly, and we'll come back to all these things, because even though these things seem simple, they're actually very important, and they're very complex. Like food, the topic of food is extremely complex, extremely important to your body, but we don't want to be just overwhelmed with information about it or decisions about it, because then it's no fun. We won't want to do it. So it just has to be a gradual learning about it, its effect on our body, and what we want to do, the decisions that we want to make about it. So with the sitting on the floor, with the spiritual practices, there's many reasons why it's good to sit on the floor. We won't go into all of them now, but I think just one of the most important ones is that if we're sitting on the floor, it makes us much more grounded. We have a much better base to work from. And because our energy systems are so connected with our body, it's just starting from a good base. One of the other extremely important reasons is that when we're sitting on the floor, cross-legged, our spine is going to be, even if we do it really badly, even if we're hunched over, we're still going to be in a better position, our spine, than sitting on a chair or leaning back into something. It's really a lifetime practice to actually get the sitting on the floor in a comfortable, really aligned, helpful way. But especially as Westerners, if we don't try it sometimes and do it sometimes, we won't understand the benefit of it, or why. Maybe not for all your spiritual practices. Some of your spiritual practices will just be walking in nature. So you're obviously not even sitting. But sometimes some of the practices you do, and certainly over a whole lifetime, some of them you'll find, gee, that just works so much better if I sit on the floor. Now, to sit on the floor requires open hips, which most Westerners do not have, and especially if you're not young. What really is very important at the beginning is a cushion. So I will show you. I'll just bring this down a bit. You don't need to spend money on cushions or anything like this, because Lib just made her own. I'm not even sure what you're sitting on. Lib, what are you sitting on? Show us. It's a towel. She couldn't unmute herself. It's a towel. She's rolled up a towel. A towel is the right density, because if you try and sit on the ground with soft cushions like this, it won't help. You'll be ungrounded. You'll just sink down. So it has to be something that is dense, like this is actually a proper yoga cushion. It has to be something like this, or towels are also something like towels or rolled up blankets. Now, when I started sitting on the floor more often, because of dancing, my hips were not too bad, but they weren't really that great. But when I started to sit on the floor more often for practices, I started off on this. So it started to be like, I would just sit like that on this. So basically I'm that far off the ground. As I started to do it more often, I progressed to this cushion, which is, so instead of being that thick, it's now that thick. And it's not even like really sitting on it. It's more you just actually put your, I'll do it on the side so you can see. So you're really just sitting like that. So these days I can get my legs down like that, but with a bit of support. And it hasn't, I mean, it's taken probably a few years without stressing about it, and just with realizing, okay, I think at first I just thought, oh, it's so much easier to do the practices in the chair, which it is much easier for Westerners. And I thought, well, I know I've got to sit up straight. At least if I'm in the chair, don't go like that, leaning back. At least if I'm in the chair, you need the chair. Don't lean on the back of it. Sit up and imagine that you're sitting cross-legged on the ground and have the same posture you would sitting cross-legged on the ground. Then eventually I thought, okay, I'm just going to move on the ground. So I used the pillows, and certainly as you practice trying to do that, you will just, I don't have to say more, you will realize it's actually very helpful. Sometimes people's hips are just flexible, even if they haven't really sat on the ground, they just are. I'm assuming they're not, but I could be wrong, because really people's bodies are very different. But if they're not, then you have, before you sit on the ground, just do a few things to open your hips up. So Lib, give us a demonstration of the hip thing going up and down and up and down.
Bottom on the floor, feet together, like that.
So any simple thing like that, and Lib will tell you, she definitely does not have open hips, and this is a much newer thing for her to try and sit on the floor, but I can see already she's made huge progress just from sitting on the floor, trying to do it, and doing things like that. That just, another thing you can do is you can just stand up. You can really pretty much do anything, hold on to something and just go like that. You're really doing anything that will open your hip out. Okay, so we're going to come back to those things over time. Now, the third thing I want to move on to is a breathing, a couple of breathing practices. Now, in most spiritual traditions, breathing is very important. And one of the practices that people always come back to is breath retention, which means holding your breath. And there's many reasons why this is helpful, but for the moment, we're just going to just do it. You can do breath retention on a breath in, so you basically breathe in and hold your breath for as long as you can. And you can do breath retention on a breath out. So you breathe out and hold your breath on no oxygen. Again, this is a very individual thing. Some people naturally have bigger lung capacity and they can hold their breath quite long even though they don't practice. You'll be able to hold it more on a breath in. Most people can hold their breath way longer on in than no breath, empty breath on a breath out. But many spiritual practices involve breathing and involve some sort of breath retention. So we're just going to do a little game, and I'm going to put the timer on, and without any preparation, you're just going to see how long you can hold your breath. If you want to write it down, that's okay, or just keep it in your mind, doesn't really matter. How long you can hold your breath in, and then on a full breath, how long you can do it. And then when I tell you, we're going to breathe out and see how long you can hold that. So I've got a stopwatch here. Let me just get it. So I'm going to say breath in, and then I'm going to click the thing, and you're going to count how long you can hold it in. So you're going to go deep breath in now and hold. When you're done, just put your hand up so I know you're finished. Okay, I think everyone's done. Okay, good. And now we're going to do the same thing. So what you're going to do is breathe in, breathe out, and then hold it. So get ready, breathe in, breathe out, go. And you're holding on out breath. And hand up when you're finished. Okay, very good. When I was doing this particular thing in a class, it was an online class, and the teacher said, I'm going to time it for 3 minutes. He says there's people in this class who'll be able to hold it longer than 3 minutes, but we don't want to be sitting here too long. I thought 3 minutes. And that was on the out breath as well, 3 minutes. Some people just actually do have very good lung capacity, but usually people who do that is many years of training, So now we're going to do a certain breathing practice, which is called chi breathing. And then we're going to time again, but we're going to do that same exercise we just did with the timer. We're just going to do it slightly different. But before we time, we're going to spend some practicing of this particular chi breathing, because it will somewhat change the way that we're breathing. So all we have to do with the chi breathing, we're inhaling through the nose, and then we're going to exhale through the mouth. But we're not just going to do any old thing like, we're going to breathe out in a very particular way. 3 things we need to know. We're going to make a certain noise, and the noise is So it's like you're saying HOR, but you're sort of whispering it. You're not going ho, you're going. The second thing is when we breathe out, we're going to do it in 3 stages. We're going to go ho, 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 but not the same length. It's going to be ho, ho, ho. So this is what it will be like. Breathing in nose, breathing out. So just do practice that for a minute. In, 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 and just relax. So you're breathing out in this sort of boom, boom, boom. The last thing we have to note is that when we breathe out, we're doing it as a particular way of throat breathing. In the yogic tradition, they call it ujjayi breathing. In other traditions, they call it other things. It's a very throat way of breathing. So when we're breathing out, we're not letting the air come to the bottom of our mouth. Like we're not going, we're letting it go. You imagine it's like you imagine you're opening your back of your throat and think of the air as if it's coming to the top of your palate and going out. So you'll go, breathe in, and then it makes a sound like, if it doesn't sound throaty, it hasn't quite got the open throat. You'll do it, but you'll also make the sound. So it'll be in and then so practice that. In, in. Many people who do healing, when I did hands-on healing for people, no one told me to do this, but fairly early on, I just naturally used to breathe like that with people because it's a healing way of breathing for your own body, and it sends healing energy out to do that sort of. I didn't do the. I just did that type of breathing. So don't worry if you haven't got it quite right, because this is the first time we've done this, but we're going to just do it for a few minutes. I won't put music on. I'll do it a bit louder, just so at the beginning. So we're just going to keep doing it for a few minutes. If you get a bit dizzy or lightheaded, don't worry. That's actually what it's going to do. The practice is actually going to change the oxygen in your brain. So I'll just do it a bit louder, just so you get the hang of it for the first little bit. But then I'll get softer, just because in reality, we're not supposed to be doing it loud. We're not supposed to be going. We just, so long as we've got it right within ourselves, it might be fairly quiet. So glasses off. And last thing is, you can follow me if you like in the timing, but when you get the hang of it, just do it in your own breath timing, because we all have different breath timing, and just settle into it. So eyes closed, glasses off, breathing in, breathing in, 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 and keep going. few more times. Now, keeping your eyes closed, we're going to do just gentle breathing now. So we're going to inhale easily, just relaxed. When you're ready, exhale easily. And we're doing this 3 times. Just relax, nothing in particular, just very gentle, relaxed. Inhale and out. Inhale and out. And just keep going. And when I tell you on our next exhale, when we get to it, we're going to do a breath retention, but we're not going to do it the way we did it before when you were timing it, which was actually holding the breath either in or holding it out and sort of locking inside. That's a particular way of doing it, but we're doing it the chi way, which is we're going to breathe in, we're going to breathe out, but we're going to breathe out only 80%. So leave about 20% of oxygen in your body. So it's going to be a very gentle, just going out to about 80% and then leave 20% air in your body. And instead of having a locked feeling in your lungs, you're going to let yourself completely relax into it. So we're going to do that now. So inhale easily. Exhale easily so that you've got 80% of the oxygen's gone, about 20%'s left in your body. We're going to hold it, but nothing's locking. We're just gently relaxing into it. And just stay there. And when you're ready, just breathe in again. And just out again, just gently in between, just gently, easily in, easily out. So no pressure on your body. Now, we're going to do it again with the timer. So I'll tell you when to open your eyes. So when you're ready, just breathe in with your eyes closed. And when you're ready to do the gentle breathing out, have a look at the timer so you can see how long it is. So breathing in, just gently, gently breathing in. Breathing out, 80%, leave 20. Look at the timer and go. And then close your eyes again and completely relax into it. So no stress in your lungs. You're not locking anything. You're just completely, it's like you're melting into life. You're releasing into life. You're just letting everything be completely still. And when you have to breathe again, just open your eyes and have a little quick look and see how the time compares to when you did the breath retention before, but it would have the second one we did before with the breath out. I'm guessing you're all done. Keep your eyes closed. That's all good. Just keep your eyes closed. Now we're going to do this a few more times, just very gently. So what we're going to do is breathe in easily, do the breathing out, 80%, 20% of air, holding it. And while we're doing it, each time we do it, we're going to let the energy in our body move to some part of our body that needs healing. And then when we need to breathe again, we'll just have a few breaths just to leave our body relaxed again. And when you're ready, breathe in again, breathe out. 80% of air is gone, 20% in your body. And while you're sitting there in breath retention, you're going to let all the energy instinctively go to the part of your body that at this point most needs healing. So I'll talk you through it, and then I'm going to put some music on. But once the music's on, I can't talk anymore. So get ready. Inhale easily. When you're ready, exhale easily. 80% of air's gone, 20% left in your body. No tension, melting into life. Life is just holding you in an embrace, in a hug, looking after you, and you're letting all the energy in your body go to some part of your body that needs healing. And when you need to breathe, just have a few breaths in and out, relaxed, relaxed. You don't have to worry too much about holding the breath a long time for this exercise. It's more about just holding it for a little while in the breath retention, enough so that the energy can go to some part of your body. When you're ready, again, breathe in, out, 80%, 20% left in your body. Relaxed, melting into life. And the energy is going to some part of your body or your mind that needs to settle. So we're going to keep repeating this for a few minutes. And you'll hear wave music. When you're doing waves if you want, and you may even like three. Keep your eyes closed for one more moment. And while you have all this beautiful energy inside your body, think of one person, someone who just pops into your mind. It could be a loved one or an enemy, but someone you wish to send healing energy towards. Just send it towards them. If someone else comes to mind or a number of people, just send it towards those people you're thinking of who pop into your mind, because they certainly will receive that energy. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. There is, with the first way of breathing, just to sort of breathing in and holding it, there are reasons why it's done that way, and it's usually done with locks in the body. They call it locks, like neck lock, center lock, pelvic floor lock, and it has a specific purpose, but it does mean that your whole system inside your body is locked and tight. So this other way of doing it has a very different purpose. Okay. Maybe do that breathing out thing and dedicate your coming week to being awake, being aware, filling your heart with love. Feel like everyone you come across, that you have love for everyone, and feel that everyone has love for you, even if they don't have love for you or they seem to have the opposite. Just go, doesn't matter. In my mind, everyone loves me. And even if they don't, oh, well, their problem. But in my mind, I love everyone. In my mind, everyone loves me. And I'm not going to let my mind have that shadow on it from anyone's lack of love. It's a very freeing thing to think, and feel that you're going out into the world and feel that all the little lights inside you that came with you, all the things you love, the things that you can do, the things that you're interested in, they're just going to grow a little bit more this week and bring a little bit more happiness to you and your loved ones and all those that you come upon during the week, and all those you think of. So thank you very much, lovelies, for coming, and have a beautiful week.